व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all. Thou art all. Thou assumest all forms. Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all. Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Dear friends, let us meditate on our relationship with the universe. Let me think. I am in the chapel of Vedanta Society. The big chapel. I am only in a small little part of it. Again, this chapel is also a small part of the building of Vedanta Society. Vedanta Society is a tiny speck in this beautiful city of Providence. Which is only a small part of the state of Rhode Island. The smallest, tiniest state in United States. It again occupies only a little part of this earth. This earth again is a tiny, tiny speck in the solar system. The solar system is an infinitesimally tiny speck in the galaxy Milky Way. This galaxy again is only one of the galaxies which are spread out all over in the open skies. How tiny I am, how little I am. Let us feel, friends, this littleness. It is just affirmation of reality. From the meditation, let us now keep this understanding and look around us, feeling how tiny we are. It is this feeling of being tiny, even on the physical matters, teaches us humility. How little we are. This little thing speaks proudly. I am going to change this whole universe. What can be more stupid than that? It is. Let us just think of it. At the psychological universe again, my mind is only a very, very tiny speck, unimaginably little of this universal mind. And yet, my ego is so bloated that I think I can change all the minds. Now, therefore, it is taught by the great teachers that we have to learn to be humble, which makes the flow of knowledge come to us. Because being humble, as I said in the beginning, is just to acknowledge the reality of one's actual littleness, that it is to be recognized, it is to be respected, and that is just respecting the truth that I am so little. Nobody cares actually if I live or die. It is like so many creatures are dying all the time. Somebody told the other day that it is a good meditation to go and sit in a graveyard, in a cemetery, go and sit there for a little while. That makes us see that how many great people they lived at one point. They themselves might have thought that they are indispensable for this world. They come and go. It is one a lady told, they were all boasting about, ladies, they like to boast about the achievements of their sons, So one lady said that, my son, at his work, there are thousands of people under him. So everybody thought, wow, he must be a big boss, or he actually was mowing the lawn in the cemetery. So thousands of people were under him, you see. So it is, how little we are. So this humility, therefore, is an important necessity for getting the knowledge. It is told, therefore, that one of the obstacles in getting the knowledge is our ego. In the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you read that two types of knowledge is being told. One is the knowledge of the world, and the second is the knowledge of the self, the knowledge of the knower. And then the knowledge of the world has been told. Well, whatever you see, analyzing that and seeing the various facets of that, the colors and the taste and size and shape and whatnot, all what we call science is that. What is the term used there is the knowledge of the kshetra, the knowledge of the objects. So that is the knowledge of the that observed. Now the knowledge of the observer, the question comes, well, Lord, now tell me the knowledge of the observer. And the Lord, instead of telling the knowledge of the observer directly, gives a list of virtues to be acquired, which begins with this amanitvam, practice of humility, not being, egotistic. That it is practice of humility. There are quite a few virtues mentioned there, and then at the end of that list, amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shantirarjavam, and so forth, that one should be very humble. And after telling all these list of the virtues that are to be acquired, then Lord concludes that these virtues, acquisition of these virtues, is the knowledge of the observer. Anything opposite of that, ajnanam yadatonyatha, all that is apart from these virtues is ignorance. It is, the idea is, if we don't have these virtues, that knowledge of the knower does not come to us. It is just try to feel this, friends, that the knowledge of the observer, if I say I know the observer, that means that is no more observer, it is an observed and not the observer. In many of the Upanishads, and even in many other, texts of various religions, this fact comes. Even in Kabbalah, this idea comes that, well, if you know that Kabbalah, then it is no more. If you know that one, it is no more one. That you cannot know it. The known Tao, again Tao is mentioned the same thing. The known Tao is no more Tao. It is the known self. Is not self, it is known, it is not the knower. So the knowledge of the knower one gets through this practice of humility, amongst other virtues. But humility has been told the first one. Why? Because it is the ego that is the obstacle. Do you see that my ego, I know everything, I want to know, I will get a microscope, I will get these tools, and then I will know. This idea itself becomes the biggest obstacle in getting the knowledge. And therefore, important thing is to remove that by practice of humility. The topic, as you can see, it is learning to be humble. And the word learning is to be paid attention to. Why do we have to learn it? Because the opposite tendencies are spontaneous. That you don't have to teach anybody how to brag, isn't it? We are all kind of experts in that. It is spontaneously those things come up to show off one's little knowledge, making it big. That is, it is whenever we are wanting to show our little knowledge, we use that what is called zoom in, isn't it? And so it becomes big. And then when we want to show the good qualities of other, we just zoom out, so it is seen very little. So it is, this tendency is not something that needs to be taught. We all, unfortunately, are born with it. So therefore, we have to learn the opposite thing, to be humble. And without this practice of humility, we cannot learn this highest science, this science of knowing the knower. As Thomas A. Kempis, in his that wonderful book, Imitation of Christ, mentions that, let me read some parts from it, that every man naturally desires knowledge, but what good is knowledge without fear of God? Indeed, a humble rustic who serves God is better than a proud intellectual who neglects his soul to study the course of the stars. If I knew all things in the world and had not humility and charity, what would it profit me before God, who will judge me by my deeds? To think of oneself as nothing, and always to think well and highly of others, is the best and most perfect wisdom. Therefore, you see, another sin openly one commit, a serious crime. If you see another sin openly or commit a serious crime, do not consider yourself better, for you do not know how long you can remain in good estate. All men are frail, but you must admit that none is more frail than yourself. It is difficult, to understand this. It is that that Swami Vivekananda says that one can easily take pride that I am a good man. I am a dignified person in this society. I have got all the character certificates. I am good person. What did you do to become good? You are good by the wish of God. It is the moment that on this play of the stage, your role can be changed from good to bad, and then you will commit bad acts. Many times our idea, that pride, that I am better than you are, is the beginning of our becoming worse person. It is therefore very important to note this point, that am I really good compared to others? Not really on my own. It is because there is somebody who is making these, these dice throw, and then I am not responsible for my goodness. It is just because I am in this position, I am saying I am good. I am not really good, except by the grace of God. Swami Vivekananda appreciated, greatly one very nice experience. He had gone to Kashmir, and then there was some people around, and he happened to ask one lady about her religion. And her reply was, by the grace of God, I am a Muslim. It is the grace of God that we are religious. It is very important to see that our good behavior, our being nice and all, let us not take pride for that I am good. All these questions, actually, that was the reason that I took up this topic, is that because we, from this pulpit, we hear many lectures about building up self-confidence, and that we have to be self-confident. We have to believe that God is in me. We have to believe in our essential divinity. And before we know, it gets translated into pride, unless we are careful. That I am God. So who are you? I am God. Be my servants, you all. That is not the idea of I am divine. I am divine means everybody has that same divinity. I am no better than anybody. A blade of grass has the same divinity as a saint has. No difference. So that is how a person who realizes this truth does not take pride in one's body and mind. It is because they come and go, they change all the time. Our qualities, we take pride in that yes, I can do these things. Well, you can do those things only if you are powered by God. Otherwise, not. It is to teach this in one Upanishad, beautiful Upanishad, Kena Upanishad. After all the philosophy has been taught, it is an Upanishad about self-knowledge, a very deep, profound philosophy about the nature of self, nature of consciousness has been presented. And at the end now, one thinks that now I have understood all the Upanishads. So you are about to close the book with the idea that I have now understood everything. A story begins that there were these 5, 6 big angels. And there is in the Hindu mythology, like other mythological stories too, always there is the fight between the angels and demons going on. And then in one of these fights, the angels represent all the good tendencies in us. And the demons, they represent all the bad tendencies in us. So these angels, after scoring a victory over the demons, became very proud. Hey, it was our victory, how we demolished all those demonical forces, and they started praising each other. That is how mutual praise clubs get formed, that it is, okay, hey, you did very well, oh, you did wonderful. So that, why I say that, because the other will say same thing about me, So it is, now the divine thought that, well, actually it is not their victory. It is, if they become egotistic, they will be lost again. So to teach them a lesson, he takes the form of a very lustrous heavenly being and stands there in their vicinity. And then they started thinking, who is this fellow? I never seen him before. Who is this guy? And then they told one of them, the fire god, the angel of fire, hey fire, why don't you go and inquire that fellow, that who you are? And the fire god, Agni, just went with lot of pride, thinking that, well, I am greatest amongst them. Any big job, they entrusted to me. See, now out of all these others, I have been chosen for this work. Go and inquire who this fellow is. He went with great pride there. But then, in the presence of this lustrous being, he got so overwhelmed that could not speak. He went to ask who you are, but was dumbfounded. So this being asked, hey, who are you? And then he started asking. He went to ask, forgot it, and he was now asked, hey, who are you? He said, I am, fire, and I have the title, Jata Veda, I am born with all knowledge. So that is how one does, not only stops saying that I am so and so, immediately attaches the degrees also. I am a PhD or I am so and so. It is without being asked that Agni told that also. Oh, okay, that's great. What is your prowess? What is your special feature? I can burn anything in this universe. Wow, is it so? Here is this dry blade of grass right here. Just for my curiosity, can you burn it? Now this fire god should have understood that there is some problem here. Why should I be told to burn a small piece of hay, dry hay? But he went with all power to burn that small blade of hay. Could not burn even after repeated tries. And then went back crestfallen, telling all others there that, sorry, I could not know who that was. Similar condition happened with other god, the god of winds. And then after that, the prominent amongst them, their king, Indra, he said, well, I give scope to these lesser buddies, but they are not really capable. After all, I am the king, I have to get it done, Hey, always it happens. My subordinates no good really. So, it is, I am not just reflected. Have you heard these things before? Have you said these things before to yourself? I hear it many times, that I have to do all these works, My subordinates are there, but these days, what these subordinates, they just come and, go out every now and then to sip coffee. They have no knowledge, can't do anything. So, it is this, Indra also thought in the same way and goes with pride. And because of his enhanced pride, this lustrous being did not even care to speak to him, just vanished from there. And this Indra then started pondering, And then gradually, the story is very interesting. Please read. I don't want to take much time of this class today. In fact, my intention today is to finish fast because we have annual general meeting. But the intentions and results, they don't always match. Sometimes I was telling somebody, I want to shorten my lecture today, but what happens is it takes long time to shorten it. So it is. Yeah. But the important thing is that Indra gradually understood that it was not their victory. It was their folly that they started saying that it is my victory, our victory. We know it is the victory of the Lord that has been achieved through those instruments. So, learning the humility is the message in that Upanishad. Unless one learns it, all the philosophy that was told earlier will not come to us. That knowledge will not come to us. Therefore, it is very important, the prime idea, to learn it. And learning is a matter of practice. Gradually, one learns, like learning any subject. It takes time, even those things, like say some skills you acquire, swimming. Okay, you start slowly, today I got a little bit, tomorrow a little more, a day after tomorrow, depending on how intensely you try, go on trying, slowly we learn bit by bit. Till we become perfect, we have to be at it. So, learning humility is also a process. Not that it is 100% humility or zero. We acquire it. That is why the title contains this word, learning to be humble. Learning humility, which is very a process that we have to take up. And how to take it up? To see that it is only by association with God and that I have powers as given by God. As without that I do not really have anything. Sri Ramakrishna is the great exemplar of humility. See, he would say, well, I say all these things, it is, but I don't know anything. It is the Divine Mother who keeps on pushing the knowledge, giving me the words, and then it comes out from this mouth. She knows everything. The Divine Mother is, I have nothing. It is any person coming to meet him, he would say, well, when that person would salute or prostrate, no, I am no greater than you. I am very little. I am not only that I am not greater than you, I am smaller. I am smaller than even a small hair on your arm. He would point out the hair on so that, and then say that I am smaller even than that. It is very important teaching that Sri Ramakrishna's life exemplifies. Be humble. It is once you are humble, then you become capable of learning. Just try, Just try. The humbler we become, immediately the door of knowledge seems to open. And becoming proud is actually kind of shutting that door for wisdom. So, this is, I have experienced it many times, that the moment the pride increases, the inflow of knowledge stops. The pride decreases, humility manifests, and the knowledge also comes as a result of that. It is told in one of the beautiful hymns, Shikshashtakam by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 8 verses on education. The title is very nice, 8 verses on education. Now one needs to get educated, and one of those verses say that you can become eligible to recite the name of God. You are eligible to think of God when Trinadapi Sunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Who is Kirtaniya Sadahari? What it actually translates is, the language is very beautiful. It is in a way passive voice, that who becomes eligible, who can sing the glories of God. Kirtaniya Sadaharihi. Always who can have the right to sing the glories of the God meaningfully. One idea expressed is Trinadapi Sunichena, one who considers oneself lowlier than a blade of grass and is yet compassionate and considerate, like the big tree under whom anybody can take shelter. So, and he does not harbor any pride, but gives honor to others. Amanina manadena. So, gives honor, gives respect to others. That person is actually capable of taking the name of Lord. Otherwise, we may be taking the name of Lord. It does not then become the name of God. It becomes the name of God only with our awareness. It is, if my awareness is that of humility, then I understand what God is, and thus it becomes the name of God. Otherwise, it is an expression of pride. Becoming devotee is also, if we do not get this principle of humility, becomes a manifestation of bloated pride. That, hey, I am devotee, I am special, I am a Swami, I need special treatment. It is all, what are you, Swami means, what do you mean? You have given up everything. And one idea of giving up everything, important thing to be given up is pride. Give up the pride. So then that is the meaning, that you are then a devotee, that give up the pride. It is not a matter of being proud, that I am a devotee. We get this pride. And so the result is we start slighting others. Hey, who are you? You are not devotee. I am devotee. I am superior to you. I have such rights. No, it is important to see, therefore, that the idea is to become humble, that God is the common Lord of everyone. We are all children of God. We are all, slaves of God. Let us practice this. I am servant of God. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, therefore this attitude is so good, to think of ourselves as servant of God. Not many are capable of thinking that I have God, I am God. It is a truth in a particular, if understood, that God is everything. Then I am God, I am zero. That is the meaning of it. That God alone is. So I too am actually God. That is the meaning of this statement, that I am divine. that there is nothing that is belonging to me separately, and God is all that is. So one has to practice this humility, get trained. And it is, as you know, if we have some disease and if we are taking medication, then slowly, if the medication is right, what would happen, Ray? What do you think will happen if the medicine is right? Then the disease will increase or decrease? Increase. How, if the medicine is right, then how can the disease increase? That means the medicine is not right. If my spiritual practices make my pride increase, then they are not spiritual practices. If I start practicing humility, then that is the right medicine, and that will make me healthier spiritually. It will make that awareness of divine increase in me. My disease will go away. So this is, one can see this actually happening. That because if you see somebody who is really practicing spiritual disciplines, one thing that will start happening is this pride, ego, that will start going down. And you will see the compassionateness. That compassionate personality will come up. Compassion will grow. The broadness of awareness will grow. So this is how you can see the transformation. So, as I mentioned, and I am successfully trying to do that, let us wind up today's lecture here. If you have any question after 30 seconds of meditation on these thoughts, feel free to ask short question, and then maybe I will be able to give a short answer. Yes, please. Oh, Chet has a question. Okay, Chet.
At the risk of extending your intentionally short lecture, the quote that you had read from Thomas A. Kempis, I believe.
Yes.
He talked about the relationship of fear to God, and that would seem a little bit antithetical to Vedanta, because fear itself is preservation of the ego, where our respect for God should be humble.
Yeah.
In spirit of oneness, not fear.
The question is very good. It is this, I had spoken of, the self-confidence. If not understood correctly, it would give a wrong idea. Similarly, fear in Thomas A. Kempis does not mean the common fear. There what it means is the awareness of the greatness of God. And so everything is done with this understanding that God is watching. That makes us pure. It is like the example I like to give, when you see on a highway, cars are speeding like anything, and suddenly you see that they suddenly have become disciplined. Then what do you conclude? There is that the police officer is there watching. You are under watch. Then you immediately start behaving. So That is the idea there about fear. It is not fear of, preserving our ego, but it is preserving our goodness in the spiritual sense. Otherwise, our goodness may not last. So that fear is about that. Thank you. Yes, Charlie?
Well, sometimes minority groups encourage their members to have pride that they're as good as everyone else. Like there was a saying, say it louder, black and proud.
Yeah.
They say gay pride. That's different, right? Having confidence.
That is what it means there is that I am as good as anybody else, not that I am better than you. So it is an antidote for inferiority complex. These things are pretty tricky, psychologies. They are not as straightforward as physics is. It is. The physics is straightforward in a way. You have the formulae and the rules and all that. In psychology, it is not so straightforward. So the meaning is to be understood in that sense. Thank you. Yes, Raymond?
I believe the practice of the presence of God is useful in that respect. Just realizing that presence all around you as many times as you can hold on to it prevents you from becoming overly problematic.
Correct. Yeah, I fully agree with you that the practice of presence of God, you might have read, I am sure, that beautiful book of that Brother Lawrence book on practice, that same title, Practice of Presence of God, which actually is practicing humility. That how he is always trying to be very humble in that monastic community, that okay, whatever work comes to me, I will do with joy, without, not only just without grumbling, but with joy. It is very important that, yes, practice of presence of God. The lives of great sages also therefore teach us. In Mahabharata, something that really is a great teaching, that Lord Krishna, who is being saluted by all the so-called, all the great people, including the sages and all, Lord Krishna is being held in the highest esteem, always worshipped. And there was a big sacrifice that was happening, being conducted by Yudhishthira, and then there was the allotment of works, So, what work will Krishna be doing? And Krishna said that I will do the work of picking up all the plates from which people have eaten, and then cleaning all that soiled plates and food there lying down, the spilled food. I will clean that. That is my job. So he deliberately took a work that gets called as or classified as a menial work, to show that no work is menial. It is these teachings are very important to put us in that mode of service to Lord. It is very good. Thank you. So I request Vishwanath to do his offertory, and while Vishwanath is doing that, let me read some of the upcoming programs. As you know, that this is the last Sunday service before we go into the summer mode. There will be, of course, the coming Tuesday, there will be a Tuesday lecture. Tuesday class will be there. And then you can see this flyer for the summer programs, July and August. The first program actually begins not in July, on the last day of June, and that is a gathering annually happening at Professor Trideep Roy's house about celebrating the birthday of M. So M, Master Moshe, who has chronicled the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, because of his very intimate disciple and an exemplar of his teachings. So that is from 11 o'clock in the morning till about 1 o'clock. That includes a delicious lunch as well. So because it includes delicious lunch, one has to RSVP. Either let me know or let the host know. The phone number is right there. And then when the next program is July 4th celebration, Independence Day celebration. That also we do here annually. So that also begins at 11 a.m. So you are, yes please.
There's some of the information is showing 11 a.m. Swami, some of the information is showing 6:30 p.m. This shows 6:30 actually. The website was showing 11 a.m.
Oh, this is showing 6:30 p.m. Or where? For the... Oh, July 4th. Interesting. No, it is at... I am so sorry. July 4th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. No, we have to change it, 11 o'clock. On the website it is 11 o'clock?
Last month's brochure was 11, and I think the website was showing 11.
Well, we have to change on all these. 11 o'clock, we have to send a notice. It is 11 o'clock. Thank you for pointing it out. What has happened is last year, this program was at 6:30 to 8 p.m. because of some conflicts. And so we copied it, copy and paste. So certain things just remained. I am very sorry for this mistake. So, it is normally at 11 o'clock so that we can have nice lunch and people can then later on go to see the fireworks here there. That is the idea. So, it is therefore 11 o'clock in the morning, that is. Personally, I have no problem, but I think 11 o'clock in the morning is better. Yeah. It was, and then somehow the information somewhere has to be corrected. So I think it is better to correct it here. But thank you very much.
Closing prayer?
Yeah, closing prayer. I think we will do the closing prayer at the end. No, okay. Now let us finish it as it has come up. Arati will be afterwards. You can sit there if you want, no problem, but that's a good seat. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Chinese faith, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, our Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.